So you have to make a date with us.
I'm actually a crazy boxer.
What's the most challenging role you've ever played?
No one can make you a star apart from God.
But I like Frankie though.
It's coming fresher, tighter, with more excitement. Join in the fun on your favorite African movie chat room show, Senior Freak premieres via SMS, phone, Facebook, and Twitter every Saturday at 7 p.m. as we chat up our celebrity guests and discuss the movies we premiere. Remember, it's 7 p.m. every Saturday.
for thrashing Akufo-Addo's housing policy for KIA. President's salary increased to 12,000. We find out public reaction on the increase. Adaklu Amango Tideke in the Volta region records high JHS dropout. In business, Social Security and National Insurance Trust SNIT fund size records a 17.9% increment at the end of 2011. In showbiz, pop singer Chris Brown under fire for wearing Taliban Halloween costume. On the international scene, dozens of gunmen occupied Libya's parliament to register their anger over the formation of the new government. These and many other stories coming up in the next hour.
Your election headquarters on TV, radio, and online. Election headquarters supported by Star Ghana and Infobox.
Welcome to the details of the story. Now, many young women migrate from the northern part of Ghana to the south in search of better opportunities. This dream most often never materializes, and the end result is facing the harsh social economic conditions prevailing in the cities. They work for longer hours, carrying loads whose weight are twice their body weight. They sleep in the open in front of shops and have no places where they can have their baths, change or dress up. I spent a day with the head porter and I filed this report. She has never been to school and does not want to. Her priorities, her son and her job. Her ambition is to be a seamstress or a beautician. It's another day for Raina Al-Hassan in the capital, Accra. Before she goes out, her newly secured job is where she prepares banku, a Ghanaian delicacy. Another hectic exercise which requires skills she has not yet mastered. She does this for a food vendor. Raina expects her fortunes to be turned around after the 2012 elections. Now we bring you a full version of that story. Now, moving on, the new Patriotic Party has described the president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress as having confusion in his mind. This follows the president's mockery of Nana Akufo-Addo's housing policy for KIA or headquarters and vulnerable workers like street hawkers.
Like KIA, shoe shine boys and street hawkers. President John Dramani Mahama, in a Savulugu address, intimates that this is the most insulting idea or promise that Nana Akufo-Addo has put on the table. He finds it insulting that a political leader and his party would have the social conscience to create decent housing, albeit temporary, for the most vulnerable in society. And I'm saying that the notion put out by President Mahama that this is an insult, in fact, it's more insulting to those vulnerable. Look, at the end of the day, we don't know what kind of society President Mahama thinks he lives in or wants to create for this country. But it's clear to me that his case is a tale of two cities. His city that he lives in is where the glitter glows. He and his friends have made sufficient money to feel comfortable and build them for themselves mansions of untold amounts. That is the city he lives in. What he does not see is the other city where the glitter does not shine, where Kayaye fights on the streets to find a place to lay their heads, where they have to ward off through the night marauding bands attempting to rape them. That place where the glitter does not shine is where we, the MPP and our presidential candidate, are saying that it is important to throw the light on there, put some social intervention programs so that we begin to merge those two cities into one city, where all of us will feel comfortable, where all of us will have some sense of dignity, where all of us will have some peace. Unifying the two cities that President Mahama sees in his mind is the objective of the social intervention.
Well, we have PC Apiofori to talk to us on his opinion on the president's salary increment. But before that, let's go back to our earlier story, an up-close story with Ekayo. She has never been to school and does not want to. Her priorities, her son and her job. Her ambition is to be a seamstress or a beautician. It's another day for Rainatu Al-Hassan in the capital, Accra. Before she goes out, her newly secured job is where she prepares banku, a Ghanaian delicacy, another hectic exercise which requires skills she has not yet mastered. She does this for a food vendor. Raina expects her fortunes to be turned around after the 2012 elections.
First time me to my MPP. Na MPP nti wo pe dwuma me. Na so nko ya kuro nko ye.
I will vote for the NPP because the vice presidential candidate is from my hometown. He should create jobs in the north, so suffering here in Accra is not the only alternative to a livelihood. They can give us sewing machines so we learn to sew or go into hairdressing. Even if they set us up with a capital for trading, we'll be very grateful. Her next job is about to begin. Most of her day will be spent here, where bidding for a load to carry is serious competition. Finally, she finds one which brings her a short-lived smile because the taxi has agreed to be paid cheaper for her work. She can only hope for another opportunity. After a hard day's work, Raina and her son retire to the bus station, where many other female porters will be sharing sleeping space. She hopes help will come from the politicians. Shelter for us is not a bother to them. After all, it is our choice to be here. We wish the politicians will make us a place to lay our heads at night. When the lights go off, they cannot sleep for fear of being robbed or raped. Rahina is one of thousands of porters for whom days are harsh and nights are cold. Well, away from the cold night of Rahina 2, Parliament yesterday authorized the pay rise for the President, his vice and other key members of the executive. At a closed sitting yesterday, lawmakers voted to raise the consolidated monthly pay of the President to about 12,000 Ghana cedis and the Vice President pay to almost 10,500. Now, let's get a reaction from independent-minded Member of Parliament for Akufo-Addo Brakwa, PC Apiofori. Hello, Mr. Apiofori. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Thank you for joining us on Joy News at 8. Now, tell us, what really are your concerns?
My concern is simple. To pay the President 120 million Osei a month, or 12,000 Ghana cedis a month, is on the high side. And if the President does this, the public servants will also agitate, cause trouble, and if care is not taken, the nation will go on strike, demanding also higher salary. Doctors will do it. Certain people who are in very sensitive positions will also agitate. At the end of the day, the whole thing will turn out to be move balance. You see, the President, apart from this, is entitled to free religion, free accommodation, electricity is paid by the state, water is paid for by the state, security paid for by the state, everything done by the state. As compared to the MP's one, MP salary of 7.2 or 7,200 a month. The composition is the basic salary being 3,000. The driver's salary is added to the MP's one. Fuel allowance is added. Housing allowance added. All other statutory allowances payable to all the public servants.
But Mr. Apiofori, do you have a breakdown? You're giving me a breakdown of what the MPs are taking. Do you have a breakdown of the President's salary as well?
No, the breakdown, this one is the basic. This one is 12,000 is the basic.
Okay.
Yes. Before other benefits will accrue to him, this is the basic. And it's on the high side. As long as I'm saying, if the President is giving this a salary a month, in addition to other benefits that he enjoys, it will inspire the general public to also demand a salary increase. The police will insist on something, soldiers will insist on getting something.
But you are saying, if you're saying that it's the 12,000 is on the high side, he's the President, you don't think he deserves that amount?
12,000, the President?
Because there are people in public service who take about 10,000, I suppose.
Public service, there's nobody like that. There's nobody. If the private sector.
I've had the opportunity to see a pay slip like that. But then again, I just want to find out.
A pay slip of a public servant.
Yeah.
A pay slip of a public servant. Public servant paid from consolidated funds.
So your point is that the President is entitled, has so many free entitlements, and so that amount is on the high side. Now you are a member of Parliament. Your pay has been increased too. What are you happy about your salary increase, or you think you don't deserve it too?
This is what I was saying. You didn't allow me to complete. The MP is 7,200. That's the consolidated. That's the group, and the base. It's 3,000 as compared to the President's basic of 12,000. Then, an MP is entitled to a driver to be paid from the consolidated funds. So, if you're paying the driver separately, his salary is added to the MP's salary. The MP is entitled to housing allowance. Every public servant earns 20% of his basic salary as a housing allowance. MPs also are entitled to it. MPs are also entitled to fuel allowance as public servants enjoy. And also entitled to car maintenance allowance. All these are now added to the MP's basic salary. That goes up.
Okay.
But if the President gets a basic salary of 12,000, excluding other allowances, excluding other benefits that accrue to him, Those who decide the general public, those who demand high salaries, and if that happens, where is the government going to get money to finance it?
Honorable, would you have complained if members of parliament were taking 12,000?
Say it again?
Would you have complained, as you're doing now, if you and your colleagues, members of parliament, were taking 12,000 Ghana cedis?
I will resist it. I will oppose it. I will say that there was no justification for that. There was no justification at all to pay MPs 12,000. There was no justification. But in the case of MPs, they are entitled the other benefits like housing allowance, this allowance, but the basic salary is only 3,000. That is sort of MPs.
But now it has been passed already. It doesn't seem like there's anything that can be done about it. Or do you think there's something that can be done about it?
The president is a man who really wants to work for Ghana and who doesn't want to incite general public approval. He should refuse to accept.
He should refuse
I
it.
remember very well at Amer, I praised him for that. When he came to power, when he became president, he declined his salary and decided to take a certain salary instead of the few salaries which he was expecting.
So you think the president should
also to do the same? But I say, all right, you are giving me this, but I think it's on the high side, so I decline it, and then there should be a review.
Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Other than that, as I'm saying, the other public servants will also agitate, and at the end of the day, there will be approval in the country.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable.
It's a pleasure of mine.
So that was Member of Parliament for Akufo-Addo Bembakwa, and he has been telling us that he thinks that the president should reject 12,000 cedis as salary. Moving on. Now, Parliament yesterday authorized a pay rise for the president, his vice, and other key members of the executive. At a closed sitting yesterday, lawmakers voted to raise the consolidated monthly pay of the president to about 12,000 cedis. The vice president's pay is almost at 10,500. Ministers of state and their deputies are to earn between 8,000 and 9,000 Ghana cedis. There have been mixed public reaction to the increases.
President to be taking 12,000. And then he's got certain allowances, traveling allowances. It's just too much. Because at the end of the day or at the end of the month, he will be taking roughly 20,000 or something, which is too much. He should at least bring it down, because every travel he's going to make, he's going to get an allowance for that. Every meeting he sits in and all that. It's just too much.
If the president is taking 12,000, that's of old currency, 120 million, okay, I think it's too much. Looking at our situation now, and they should look at the economy that we are in now, and they should look at how the system is moving. Their payment should come down. At least MP can take maybe 20, and the vice president can take maybe 30, and the president should take 3,000, right? To me, per se, the vice president should take maybe 15, because we don't see what he's doing.
I think the increment is too much, because there are people in Ghana who are working, especially doctors, teachers. When they complain, it becomes an issue, and then people start to insult them and things. But when it comes to like the president, the vice, nobody wants to complain. You see, nobody wants to complain. I think it's bad.
So your trauma number to me, your human year, fine. One, say because ya more musica ya no more kwatana yes or mu person mu wie mani sika bi omo de ka ho ti se efi se ye betu omo ye number to me ya adwuma no ma ya ye wa outside in the individuals and hairdressers ne other companies omo so ho ato mo say ye hwe police for ya omo sorry say police for omo ye corruption no no omo gigi sika no because omo companies omo sika so omo di nti no omo yes anti mo sia omo adro omo no ya to omo aka to omo sa no yes omo so omo fast no mo to Ghana for workers in omo akatu am na ebia no mo to ebia so no to no.
You're welcome back. It's still Joy News on Multi TV, and it's Joy News at 8. We'll link up with my colleague Stephen Enti on PM Express. We find out what they have for us tonight. Stephen, tell us what you have for us tonight on PM Express.
Well, Gifty, we'll be exploring the announcement that the executive has awarded itself lofty salary package. The president, you will know by now, has been recommended to take a salary of 12,000 Ghana cedis, and ministers are to take 9,000, deputy ministers are to take 8,000. So we will be exploring the various reasons behind these increases and the sentiments that have come up against these increases. So that's what we're expecting. We will be speaking with Inusa Foseini and Atachia, who is MP for Abuakwa South, and also speak to Kofi Bento, who is Deputy Executive Director of Imani. Gifty.
Right. Are we getting any details on the breakdown of
Exactly. We will get the details of the breakdown and find out why is it that the executive salary is about 72 times the average annual median income of the average Ghanaian. So those are issues that will all come up here on PM Express.
Right, Stephen, we'll leave you there, and we wish you a good show with your panelists there. Moving on with other stories, the people of Adaklu, Amango, Tideke are calling on government and other philanthropists to come to their aid to provide them with potable water, an educational facility and a health center. The small town between Ho and Petoe in the Volta region is home to an appreciable number of dropouts who are still hopeful of receiving formal education someday. Joy News has been interacting with them.
Yeah, I see that they see the camera.
Adaklu, a mango tideke, meaning Adaklu one mango tree, is almost a wonder world with exciting sights to behold. The two major features in the town are lots of children and goats who share kitchens and even bowls. Young men gather at the table set for them by young dropout females whom they have automatically made their wives through pregnancy, while the children simply look on. 20-year-old Ekluyawa is about 6 months pregnant with her second child. She dropped out of school at class 5 when she first got pregnant. For now, her main occupation is cooking for her husband and farming. Although she can hardly utter a word in English after 5 years in primary school, she has not given up. Bohapi is 18, a JHS 3 dropout. Her second child is 1 month old. She has limited knowledge on contraceptives and say condoms are sold only in neighboring Ho and Petoe, which are far from her town. She also hopes her dreams to go back to school will one day become a reality. The main occupation for the men here are either farming or kente weaving. For this reason, 17-year-old Bless has decided to drop out of school, weave for some money, and put himself up in an apprenticeship.
I get some money, but that is why I close. I want go learn some work. That is why I close. Like if I take that money, go school, if you finish, that one means I will come look another one. That is why I close.
25-year-old Florence has one daughter. She was brought here through marriage. Her hairdressing salon doubles as her matrimonial bedroom. She fears the structure she lives in might break down one day because it has started leaking terribly. Their place of convenience is in the nearby bush. This is the toilet facility that the people of Adaklu, Amango Tideke have constructed for themselves. This is what they've been using for a while. We understand that Once this one gets full, they'll cover it up and make another opening which they could use as a toilet facility. It is situated quite apart from the township, and I'm wondering what happens when nature calls. You may have to run through the village into the bushes here. This is for both male and female, and so the gender of an occupant at a given time is determined by the hair from afar. The children here love to go to school. In fact, they remain in their uniforms hours after school. I attempted to find out from them what they have been learning in school, at least for that day.
What did you do in school today?
No.
What subject do you like best?
You can't speak English.
Can you speak English?
No.
Do you speak English in school? Where do you go to school? What's the name of your school?
Class 3.
Did you go to school today?
Yes.
What did you learn in school? Electricity is not a problem in Adaklu, Amango Tideke, but this is the only source of water. It is used for everything, from bathing to house chores. With the kind of water they drink and the absence of a health facility, they believe God has been keeping them healthy and alive during delivery. In view of these difficulties, the people of Adaklu say government, politicians and philanthropists must do more to enhance their living standards. Reporting for Joy News, Gifty Ando Apia. So we're back from Adaklu, Amango Tideke. 3 people have sustained several injuries in a fire outbreak at Paradise Gas Filling Station near Airport Roundabout in Kumasi. One of them, who had several burns on his body, was immediately rushed to the hospital. Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
It was 11:50 a.m. today when fire gutted Paradise Gas Filling Station near Airport Roundabout in Kumasi, destroying part of the dispensers and injuring 3 other people instantly. 2 of them had burns on their bodies, while the other one had one leg twisted. One of them was immediately rushed to the hospital to receive medical treatment. The cause of the fire is suspected to have come from a taxi car with registration number AW836112, which was too close to the main dispenser while gas was being discharged into it. According to workers at the station, while discharging gas into the taxi, there were sudden sparks of fire. The driver, in moving away to avoid any troubles, mistakenly dragged along the dispenser pipe, which was still connected to the car. The pipe was forcibly removed, resulting in the outbreak of the fire. Fire tenders from Menchia Station arrived on time to quench the fire. Asamoah Kennedy is the station officer.
They were discharging into one of the taxi cab, and the car battery gives sparks, and then it catches and flash back to the pumps. So the driver was trying to run away, while the outlet, the pump, just an outlet was inside the car, so it pushed down the pump.
Mohammed Nuruddin's report from Kumasi.
Now, 2 engineers of the West Africa Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, met their untimely death on Tuesday night in an explosion while working on the Aboise gas pipeline in the Shama district of the Western region. Reports indicates the explosion resulted from a high level of nitrogen, which was being used to clean moisture from the pipeline after rehabilitation works. Well, we are trying to get in touch with Harriet Rekubrobe to tell us more on the explosion, and she is the general manager and corporate affairs of WAPCO. But when we're not getting to her now. When we do, we'll bring you that interview. We'll take a break here and return with business. Please stay.
What makes you a man? Is it the money you have, the women, the luxury, the cars? Or is it how responsible you are, how family-oriented and dedicated you are? Now, what What makes you a man? Is it your capacity to do the normal, strive for average, or perform the extraordinary? Or is it how tall you can stand when others have fallen? Kalahari Beaters.
Now that is what makes you a real man. It's the feeling of standing tall when others have fallen. It is making sure life gives you all the satisfaction you deserve.
Rise to the occasion. Drink Kalahari Bitters, another quality product from Casapreco.
Welcome to the Business Report. Now, the fund size of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, recorded a 17.9% increment at the end of 2011. The total contributions collected by SNIT also increased by 43.19% to 825 million cedis in 2011, up from 576 million cedis realized in 2010. The Director General, Dr. Frank Odum, made these figures known at the 7th Stakeholders Forum here in Accra.
SNIT's total investment portfolio as of December 2011 was 3.42 billion Ghana cedis, up from 2.90 billion Ghana cedis recorded in 2010. Budget cuts and good investments accounted for the growth of the fund size.
More members are coming in and we're getting more contributions. And of course, we also trimming our admin expenses down quite considerably. And so we have a bit more reserve after we do the investment, and that's what creates the fund size. And we're doing good investments too, so the returns and everything all together improves the fund size, yeah. But remember that the fact that the fund size is growing does not mean that there's too much money there. It's also, in the same way, if we look at the presentation I made, our pensioners are also growing very quickly. And so it means benefit outlay is also going to be high. And so, and the more members you get, the more liabilities you are creating.
Even with the increment in fund size, pensioners still do not see it reflect in their pockets, as some receive monthly benefit of less than 50 cedis. The pensioners are asking authorities to increase their benefits.
We have this association. We see to it that maybe our pension will be upgraded so that we get 100 cedi as the minimum pension, because the highest paid pensioner gets 112,000 cedis a month. We live in a social society where we go to the same market. They don't tell you that you contributed little. Incidentally, at the time we were contributing, salaries were very, very low. Ministry of Social Welfare, for example, knows that the money we are getting is not enough. So we intend going to government to sit with NPRA, the SNIT board and others to see to it that they upgrade it for us.
Meanwhile, the National Pensions Act 776, which was passed in 2008, seems to be a major challenge to SNIT. According to its Director General, the pension law, which sought to improve benefit packages without corresponding increment in contributions, had created a gap between the amount raked in and what is giving out. I asked Dr. Odum how SNIT hopes to overcome this challenge.
Because we run a partially funded system, the contribution that we get is not enough to liquidate the benefits that will fall due, and that we need to do investment. We need to improve. We need to do more investment, and the better investment that you get, the more you're able to achieve that drag and be able to pay the benefit.
As the number of pensioners on payroll increased by 4.86% to 112,522 in December 2011, so did the amount of benefits paid during the same period. Benefit payments reached 355.15 billion Ghana cedis in 2011, representing 14.3% increase over benefits paid in 2010. The increase in benefits payment was largely due to the high number of pensioners as well as increase in salary levels.
Pre-Farmers Day exhibition has been launched at Abokobi in the Ga-East municipality in the Greater Accra region. This year's exhibition has attracted more participants, an indication that more Ghanaians are buying into the prospect of agriculture has in terms of employment.
The exhibition, which is a prelude to the National Farmers Day, has the potential not only to ensure food sufficiency and productivity, but to market and address the numerous challenges encountered by the agricultural sector. A large number of companies, institutions, donor organizations and individuals have registered for this year's exhibition. Different kinds of products ranging from cereals, vegetables, fruits, animal husbandry and other byproducts in the sector. Other stakeholders like the processing plants and companies were also not left out. Addressing the participants and possible winners of tomorrow's event, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Ni Afute Agbulaye thanked the farmers and other stakeholders involved for their contribution to national development. He also urged farmers to unite in their bid to get value for their produce.
Previously, where a farmer cultivates, harvests, sells his or her produce, and sometimes obtain lesser prices for the produce, is past. This is the time for farmers to come together to form FBOs, which will have a key role to play in the cultivation, harvesting, storage and marketing of agricultural products of all kinds.
The municipal chief executive outlined some of the efforts made by the municipal assembly to ensure business continue for farmers.
The hard-working agricultural officers and the farmers are adopting innovative farming methods to cope with the scarce land for farming. Grass cutter railing, zero grazing in cattle railing, and the effective use of the land to increase production and, for that matter, keep our farmers in sustainable business.
Also in attendance were chiefs in the Ga-East municipality, led by the Abokobi Manche Ni Samuel Ajete Mohinu, who chaired the function, and other government officials.
Still on business reports, manufacturing activity in China expanded for the first time in 3 months, a sign that the country could be recovering from its lowest pace of growth in 3 years. Government data shows the Purchasing Managers Index PMI rose to 50.2 in October from 49.8 in September. Coming up next is Smart Investment Tips.
0.4% in the July to September.
My name is Rashidat Kadiri. Good evening, and I have the latest in the world of sports. NPP presidential candidate Nana Addo Akufo-Addo says he will focus on juvenile soccer should he be elected as president of Ghana in 2013 or on 7 December 2012, of course, getting into office in January 2013. He's been speaking exclusively to Joy Sports.
I believe that if we're going to make the success of Ghana as a sporting nation, it has to begin in our schools. It was like that in the years past, but somehow or other, I think as a result of all the difficulties we've gone through, we've sort of lost the compass on that. We need to find our bearing again. Very, very important that we push resources into the development of school sports across the country and find the means to provide schools, especially at the primary and secondary school level, with the facilities to encourage sports in the student population. Make sports part of the curricula and also find the facilities that will allow sports development to grow. If we can start at that level, the level of the schools, primary and secondary, that's where we'll be able to unearth the talents that we can then specialize and concentrate on later. But that is absolutely fundamental. The second part, of course, is also as much as possible to make sure that there are sports facilities in virtually every community. You go through the length and breadth of our country, you see that the villages and the communities are already doing it. They find their own, they have their own football park, or they use the one in the school. But you don't see the support of government, either local or central, in these activities. I think that is something that is missing, that we have to try and bring back.
So sports was not top of the agenda in last Tuesday's IEA debate, presidential debate. So we are anticipating and hoping that in the next session that's coming up next Tuesday, probably sports will be part of the agenda by the presidential aspirants. Now away from that, French side Olympic Marseille have revealed midfielder Andre Dede Ayew's foot injury is not as serious as initially feared. The 22-year-old suffered bruises and mid-foot sprain in Marseille's 2-0 defeat to Paris Saint-Germain last Wednesday.